¿Qué pasa? What's up? Antonio Serrano here, and today I have a magical character video, yes, for you. In this case, we are talking about Starkid, or Team Starkid, a great theatrical musical company. Maybe you never heard about them. They are great. They do like this kind of comedy, funny musicals, some of them with a quite very low budget, and you can tell. We are going to talk about that in a minute. A lot of their work, you can find it completely in YouTube, and they are masters. It is great with how little they can create like a whole musical, completely original musicals, which is great. So without further ado, let's take a look to the tips that we can extract from these guys and apply to our magical careers. Let's get started. Woo! Okay, something that I love about Starkid is that they simply remove the fluff. If it is not necessary in our musical to be considered a musical, it is out. A lot of musicals died in the past because they were all about performance. Like we want to have this very big set piece and this setting here, and the stage is going to move, but at the end of the day, it's like, is it entertaining? Are you telling me an interesting story, something that is nice, something that is fun, something that is, I don't know. If it is just like spectacle, that's going to be interesting for a very short period of time for most people, right? It's very important to have some degree of spectacle, but it shouldn't be the main focus of the event, right? So what I love about Starkid is that they remove all the fluff, and they have just the specific stuff that you need for it to be considered a musical. You have a band, maybe you don't have like a live orchestra, but you have 3 or 4 guys playing live instruments. You have live music, as simple as that. They are singing, you have live boys, they are singing there. You have choreographs, you have costumes, you have set pieces, very small, very minimalistic set pieces, but you are having a complete musical experience without fluff, without things that could be removed that doesn't add to the experience. And this is something that from a magical point of view we can learn a lot from this. When I watch their musicals, I was like, I have the feeling inside of me that I just seen an entire musical, right? Very close to the feeling that I had when I watch Hamilton, when I watch Cats, when I watch Matilda, the same feeling inside of me, but they have way less people, a smaller cast, smaller band, worse costumes, very simple costumes, very little minimalistic set designs, but the feeling that I have inside of me is the same, right? Because the spectacle and all the things that could add, but at the end of the day, it's all about feelings. It's what you feel inside when you hear a person sing and when you see the story unravel before your very eyes. So for our shows, we should do the same thing. We don't need like big cages, lions, fire, 24 doves. At the end of the day, magic is the feeling that you create inside the spectator's head and heart. And you can do that with a simple pack of cards. And a lot of magicians have proof that that is possible. So remove the fluff. Simple as that. Another great thing about Starkid is that they see things differently, right? They have musicals that are inspired in famous stories like Harry Potter, like Aladdin, right? Very, very interesting stories, and they spin them on their head. Like they see things that no one has ever seen before, right? They portray mistakes, ways of approaching, points of view of a story that we all know, and they are the first one to say, have you noticed this? have you seen this, right? I love in the story of Aladdin, which is twisted, the untold story of Arabic, or I don't know, vizier, of a royal vizier, I think it's the name, and it is basically the story of Aladdin, but in this case Aladdin is the villain and Jafar is the good guy. It's as simple as that. And when you see the story of this musical, it's like, that kind of makes sense completely. That kind of, sort of, makes sense. So they see things differently. And this is something that I always try to do in my magic shows, is like take things that all of magicians do, and I go like, why do we do this? It makes no sense, right? And a lot of time make fun of the things that a lot of magicians, a lot of performers do that makes no sense. I was quite recently in a concert from a songwriter here from Spain called El Canca, right? And he did something quite funny. At the end of the concert, he was like, okay, this is the last song of the concert, but as you may know, this is not the last song of the concert, but I have to say this. We are going to pretend that we are going, but we are just going to be waiting right there, and when you start singing one more song, we are going to come out and we are going to play more songs, okay? That's perfect, let's go. And that was the very first time that I was in a concert and I heard the singer saying something like that, because in all of the rest of the concerts that I've been to, they do that kind of false ending, like we go out and everyone is like, one more song, and then they come out, they're like, oh, okay, you want one more song, let's do it. And that's completely rehearsed. That's completely rehearsed. We know that they are doing that for us to beg for more. And the first time that I see this guy, El Canca, openly saying, okay, this is how the things go, and you know how these things go, we are going to be waiting there. It's like you are letting people inside of there. You are seeing things from a different perspective. You're like, why do we all do these things? People are not stupid. They know that this is part of the show. So Starkid can do this in every single scene from their musicals. They are letting you take a peek under the curtain, which is great. It's amazing. Okay, the next tip, which is quite related to the last one, the second one, is break the rules. And that's something that I love about Starkid. Starkid has musicals and they are performing on stages and sets that have very little to do with how normal musicals are presented, right? They are not in a classic stage with wings. A lot of the times they are in open stages. A lot of the times they are performing at ground level, at the same height as the rest of the crowd that are sitting on chairs. They break the fourth wall constantly, realizing that they are inside of a musical, realizing that they are characters. I love a line in the story of Untwisted Jafar, the story of Jafar, when one of the girls says, why is everyone in the kingdom white? Right? Because all of the actors are white. And it's like, we are telling this story that is kind of an Arabic story, something like that, and everyone is white. So they are like in the joke. They know that they are inside of a play and they do it that way, which is great, which is outstanding. So you have to break the rules, which is quite related with the things that we're talking about before. You have to see what other guys do, right? To realize that you can do things differently and still work. Something that is very important to have in mind is Scott Alexander, great magician, sorely missed, talks about this in his DVDs about performing on stage and things like that. He says that you first need to know the rules. You must know extremely well what the rules are, and then you can break them, right? Because if you start breaking the rules without knowing the rules that you are breaking, it is impossible to do it in an artistic way. Okay, so Starkid, they know exactly what the rules are, and they know exactly what they are doing the wrong way, which is the right way for them. And it is great. Please, right after you finish watching this video, or even right now, I don't care, go and take a look at their musicals because you are going to love them. But first, if you may, wait for the last tip. It's coming right up. Okay, this last tip is great, and I really wish that I could apply this tip to me as good as these guys do. And it is basically knowing your audience. You have to know your audience. You have to know specifically what do you have in front of you every time that you perform a show. And these guys are completely aware of this and they are masters at that. Basically, because their shows are designed for people that are, let's say, a little bit geek, right? They know back and forth the whole story of Harry Potter, they know back and forth the story of Aladdin, all of the stories that they are changing somehow. I think that they also did a spin-off of Batman, like a kind of Batman story into a musical. So they know that the audience are geeks, people that know the story better than even them. So every time that there is a little change in the story that they are going to notice. Every time that there is a little Easter egg or a little wink at the story, they are going to notice. So if their audience wasn't like that, they had to change that thing, because there are a lot of jokes, a lot of inside jokes for people that know the franchise that they are parodizing back and forth. If they don't know the story they are changing that well, the jokes, the Easter eggs, the little winks makes no sense. So they know their audience, and they also know that their audience love that kind of silly humor together paired with a very intelligent reading of the previous story. And this is something that also could be applied to their original musicals, because they also have plenty of musicals that are completely original. But even in those musicals, you can find winks, Easter eggs, and things related to other stories, and you can find that balance between being extremely silly and extremely intelligent. Right? I love the musical talking about buying a kind of toy for Christmas, and the toy is running out, there are no more toys, and people get locked up inside of like the Walmart of kind of a shopping center, and they are all fighting for the last toys. And it is extremely silly, but it is extremely intelligent. When you reach the end of the play, it's like, oh my god, this is deeper than I thought. So they know their audiences. They know that their audience want something silly but with some kind of meaning, and that they know pop culture well enough to understand winks, Easter eggs, and little nods to other films, comics, and things like that. Okay, what a great comedy, theatrical, and musical group, Starkid. So guys, that's everything for today's video. I hope that you really found this information useful. Please subscribe, comment below if you think that I missed out any kind of information, and I will see you, as always, in a near future. Bye there!